Why you need to be using Facebook now. I emphasize the now there. Advantages include: it is currently the most popular social network. This is huge. Social networking is basically, you hear people talking about, Web 2.0, social marketing, social networking. This is what it's all about. Facebook is the most popular place to go, and you will find that the traffic is incredible. People on it are used to Facebook marketing. When I say this, sometimes I know that I've dealt with spots on the internet where I try to market to people and they're not used to it, and of course they're not going to be as accepting of it. Whereas with Facebook, there are a lot of businesses already on there, very well established, doing very well, meaning that we can go out there and do it, and people are going to be used to marketing. It's kind of like if you use the search engine. You're used to seeing ads on Google. So I don't want you to think that people only use Facebook to connect with friends, because Facebook is also a place where you can be selling things and you fit right in. Facebook has unique features that lend itself to marketing. We're going to talk about this specifically, but things like having a Facebook group, for example. There's an option where you can email everybody, private message on Facebook, everyone at once. You don't have to sit down and type everyone's individual email in. You can, bam, email them all at once. And again, this doesn't cost anything, so I think it's incredible that you can do those types of things. There's much, much more that we'll talk about as we move forward. It is easy to find targeted people for your niche. There are some tools that I'm going to share with you on how to search Facebook. There's some little tips and tricks on how to find people that are going to be, very similar to what you're promoting. Then, of course, you can hopefully get them to join your group or join you as a friend. And then, of course, you can, start to build a relationship with them and hopefully get them to buy something from you. So there are so many reasons that you should be using it. Including that there are free apps to take your experience further. But there are a lot of people that design things strictly for Facebook, and they don't cost anything. And in fact, you might even consider making your own application. We'll talk about that a bit later. But essentially, there you go. There are a lot of good reasons that you should be using it. So I hope that you'll keep that in mind, and we'll go ahead and move forward.
This webinar will continue after this commercial break.
This is the best traffic website I've ever seen. The website Unlimited Traffic Campaign sends traffic that buys. It's really unlike others, and I personally and strongly recommend that you try out Unlimited Traffic Campaign for your business. The targeted traffic sends targeted buying traffic every day, and it's helped our company to increase website visits and to greatly boost our sales profit. Keep up the good work, guys.
Facebook for individuals. Before we start talking about how we're going to, explore Facebook as far as making money, I think it's important to understand why a lot of people initially get into Facebook, because a big part of Facebook is people reconnecting with friends from the past. Essentially, right now I'm at an actor's page, Vin Diesel, very popular actor. But just wanted to use this as an example. Basically, what people do is they'll sit down and they can do things like enter their school or their college that they went to, and then they can find other people that, of course, did the same thing. And then, bam, you're connected with people. So it's an interesting opportunity there. I know that one thing that I found really cool was, I find a few friends on here, and then I look at the friends that they have, and then I'm also reminded of more people that I know. And it's one of those things that just continues to build as you gain more friends. So people do that. People also do things as far as like interests. Like, let's say that you have a dog. So that might mean that you might join some type of dog group. So if I have a friend, of course, that's done this, and I also like dogs, I see that my friend is in it, and then I want to be in it too. So Facebook has this viral nature of things, whereas I'm very connected to what my friends are doing. So because I get to see that, then of course I'll join in as well. And this is very, very popular. People sit down on Facebook and they get excited to try new things, to learn new things. And what better way to see what your friends are doing? So what happens is, it doesn't take much to get the ball rolling. Once people get interested in something, then other people hop on board too. So the goal here is going to be, for us to create something viral, to create something of value, and to find people that are going to be a good match for it. That's basically what pulls individual people into Facebook. Even though it might start as something as simple as reconnecting with old friends, there's a lot more to it, and we'll get into that as we move forward.
This webinar will continue after this commercial break.
Hi, I'm lost for words. I never thought that your marketing campaign package would work for me in growing my MLM network marketing business. I'm involved in the weight loss industry with a network marketing compensation plan. Just when I thought that my business was dead and buried, I received an email from an account manager named Lopez. I was so intrigued, so I decided to start a campaign. My front line filled up so quickly, so I decided, why not use it for my entire front line? And that was a great success. I became a top-level performer with a brand new car in my driveway. I must say I have to thank you so much for my current success. You led me on the pathway to paradise. Thank you so much, Unlimited Traffic Campaign. You have rekindled my dead business.
Facebook for businesses. Many businesses use Facebook quite successfully, I might add, to promote their business, to gain more business. Let me go ahead and show you an example. TGI Fridays, a popular restaurant, something that they're doing on Facebook is they're saying, become a fan on Facebook, get a free burger, and of course they have a goal to get, so many fans by a certain date. So basically what happens is then, on websites, a lot of businesses you see promoting their Facebook pages. Now this is a fan page, it's a little bit different than a friends page, but we'll talk about that shortly. But essentially what happens here is just want to show you an example. Here they've created this friend page. And of course the goal here is to get people to join, so they give people something for free. And then we can also see here that people are posting on the wall of this page here. And of course they're making posts about the burger. I hope I get my free burger. Where's my coupon? All these different things. So again, you can see here that they've already gotten 70,000 fans. So it's certainly working. But essentially, this is what you do as a business. You create something that's fun. You create something that's going to matter.
This webinar will continue after this commercial break.
I had the great pleasure to work with Unlimited Traffic on a website traffic campaign for my business. And right from the very beginning stages of the project through to its completion, Unlimited Traffic were a wealth of knowledge. They were insightful, professional, detailed, they were reliable, and they were dedicated above and beyond expectations. The service and the amount of qualified traffic we received was exemplary. I would recommend an Unlimited Traffic campaign to any organisation that is searching for a professional and cost-effective resource to meet the business needs.
Overview of the ways to market on Facebook. There are actually a lot of different ways that you can go about marketing on Facebook. We'll be talking about them in depth as we move forward, but I just wanted to throw them out now so you can be thinking in your mind, what you can be doing on Facebook, and maybe, some of these will be a better match for your business than others. Of course, you can send messages to friends. So, we're going to go out and the goal is going to be to get as many friends as we can, whether that's through a fan page, a group, or whatever. But the thing is, once you have these people as your friends, you can send messages to them. On the other token, you cannot send messages to people that are not your friends. This is something that helps Facebook be more secure. There are other social networking sites out there that you can send messages to everybody, and that just opens the door up to spam. That with this, you need to consent and be someone's friend before they can message you, which certainly helps make things a lot tighter in Facebook. Creating and or participating in groups. This is a fantastic way. You of course can create a group of your own. We'll talk about that, and give people a reason to come join it. And then you have control of the group, and you have people interacting with one another. But of course, at the center of it can be your business, which you'll be promoting, of course. Creating and distributing an application. We'll also talk about this. This can be a very powerful way. Applications are really popular, and doesn't even need to be your own application. You can take one that's popular and modify it a bit. And we'll talk about that. Not stealing it, but there's some applications that allow you to make your own surveys and things like that. I guess I should have said. That's not really an application. It's using an application. But essentially, this is a way that you can go about gaining exposure. You can even have your own application developed from scratch too, which people do and are very successful with it. Utilizing the news feed. We'll talk about what the news feed is, but basically what happens is when people are on something such as your fan page and you make a post to your wall, your post appears in their news feed, and it's a very effective way to get people's attention. Customizing your profile. Okay, now I went ahead and actually created an account on Facebook just for the purpose of this video. It's not my actual account, so I don't encourage you to go out and try to find me because I won't respond. This is just a bit of a fake thing, I guess I could say. We can see here that's also not my picture, but wanted to have a picture to demonstrate that. So essentially this is my profile. I signed up. The first thing I want to show you is the settings. If you click over here, the settings, this is visible on every page. I can go into my account settings, and in this we can see a couple different things, of course, that we can change as well. Okay, so there's the name. If you ever wanted to change your name, of course, your username, email, and whatnot. Networks is really important. This is where you can hook up with other people that you went to school with, that that you work with. A lot of different things can be a network, even sometimes a business. So, and of course, if you're starting your own business and trying to get the word out about something, it certainly doesn't hurt to get your friends on board with it as well. So you can understanding your personal Facebook wall. Okay, this is really, really important stuff now that we're talking about. We talked about the profile here, how we can, have things on the side here, but your wall, this is kind of like, picture if you lived in an apartment complex and you had a bulletin board outside, or maybe a cork board outside of your door. Everybody had one. That would mean that anytime someone stopped by, they could leave you a note, leave you a message, and then of course anybody walking by could see. And this reminds me of, a lot of times this happens in college, and you have a board and people, write posts or whatever, and of course everybody can see it. This is exactly what this wall is meant for. It's a way that other people can leave you messages. You can leave messages for other people, but the thing is, everybody gets to see it. So what happens then is, let's say for example that you have a business and you're promoting something. Other people can come on here and say, hey, listen, I loved your such and such, and then that helps with the social proofing, because when other people come here, they're going to see, hey, wow, these customers are leaving nice remarks on this wall here, that this must be good stuff, and then of course it's going to help with your credibility. Obviously, if somebody shares something that is not good, you have the ability to delete it. So you have complete control over this, just like you would have control over your corkboard at your business. So that's really cool. So that's what the wall is. So again, key things to keep in mind: you can make posts on your own wall. You just write here. There we go. Not very exciting, and just a demonstration to you. But this is things that you can put on your wall are things like, of course, we're having a sale today on such and such. I just started trying this new product, such and such. There's lots of different things that you can put on your wall, and your wall posts. Other people leave them, but also you write your own stuff. And when people come to your page, they're going to see this. Of course, if you don't like that, you can remove it. Lickety split, and it's gone. Okay, and then there we go, and there's another new post. So again, all my friends, can see this, and actually all of my friends were just notified that I made this post, or they're notified in a feed, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But shortly you're going to see how this is all connected, and it's very amazing. But the point is, again, your wall is a place for other people to be conversing with you, but it's also a place that Power of the newsfeed. The newsfeed just might be the most important aspect of social networking, Facebook, simply because it is a way to interact with the other people, on your list that are friends with, very easily. Essentially, what happens is everybody that is my friend, whenever I log into Facebook, you can see here that the home page for Facebook is what's known as the newsfeed, and that's basically all this stuff here. And what happens is every time one of my friends does something on their wall, it shows up on here in my feed. Now think about that for a second. That means that when I made this post here that you saw in the last video to sign up for Facebook, how cool, that was broadcast to everybody. So you might ask yourself, who looks at this? And I'll tell you what, I look at this on my personal account all the time, and I guarantee a lot of other people do. So this is a way that when you post on your wall, you're not just counting on people coming to visit you. You're putting it out there to them. So this is an finding and adding friends. Okay, so now that you have your profile and you're ready to move forward, it's time to start getting friends. Basically, all we need to do is find friends that we think would be a good match for what we're trying to do, and then be asked to befriend them. And I think you're going to find that most of the time people will become your friend, as long as you don't scare them off in the process, I guess I should say. So how do we find people? In the upper right hand corner there's a search box. I'm just going to go ahead and type in New York. You can search by, for schools. You can search, of course, by names. What this comes up with is everything that's related to New York. So you can also filter the results here by people, pages, groups, applications, events, and we're going to talk more specifically shortly about fan pages and groups, what the difference is, how to use them, and all that good stuff. But for this point, I just want to show you again that this is all about how to find people. So let's say, for example, that you have a business that's in New York City. Well, here is a fan page for New York City. So there's almost 1 million people on this page. Let's just click on this here. And there are all the people that are a member of this group. That is incredible. So what I could do is I can just start befriending them, because if they're friends of New York City, they probably hopefully live in New York City, or used to live, and is a potential person that when fan pages versus groups. Essentially, there are two main ways that you can branch out from your personal profile to promote a business: fan pages and groups. Let's go ahead and let me show you an example of each here. We talked in the last video about the New York City fan page. Let's go ahead and look at it. I'm sure that you've seen these before. Basically, there can be fan pages for singers, for movies, for, as you see here, cities, anything that you can imagine, and they can become very, very popular. Now, a group, on the other hand, let's go back here. A group, on the other hand, is more like
This webinar will continue after this commercial break.
So ever since I actually started using unlimited traffic, I've been getting lots and lots of sales inquiries, which is awesome. And all the new sales leads have actually increased by around 200%. So I'm very impressed with that. And I'm also impressed with the really quick understanding of the special needs of my business. And I actually have a full 12 months campaign to build my customer base. So all that is thumbs up, excellent for me.
Finding and joining groups. Okay, now we're going to talk more specifically about groups and how, of course, we can use them to take our business forward on Facebook. So again, I'm going to go to the search bar here and do a search. Now let's say that my mission is to sell a dog training product. So that's what my marketing is going to be geared towards. Okay, no problem. I type in dog training. You can see here, filter the results by groups, and multiple dog training groups come up. Okay, so these groups are going to be really focused on dog training. If I backed things out and just did a search for dog, I'm going to find humongous sized groups. creating a group. Okay, now that we've talked about how to join groups, it's time to start creating our own groups. To create a group, all you need to do is, of course, from your home profile here, you're going to click on Info, and then Groups. Here you can see there's the dog training group that I signed up for. Click See All, and here we go. Create group. There we go. Anybody can create a group. You don't need to wait 1 week or anything like that. You can right from the start. So, okay, group name. You want to make sure that it's descriptive, because remember, when we searched for dog training groups, one popped up dog training, and I was all like, wow, that's a perfect fit for my niche. So again, whatever your group is about, you want to make it descriptive right in the name. Now, of course, it might be helpful to have the descriptive be catchy too. So let's see, something like dog training. Help my dog get under control. Okay, so I think that people see that, it might catch their eye more. Description, of course, here's where I'm going to make a more detailed description. Maybe I could say something like, I'm a esteemed trainer of 10 years, much accomplished, helped a lot of people with their dogs. Just things to help add credibility. Essentially, something to give people a good reason to join your group. Also, take a look at the other groups that are out there and think about what you can do to set your group apart from those, because of course, you're going to be different. Okay, group type. You're just going to select what fits you there. I'm going to hit common interest for mine. And then type here. Let's see, is there an animals one? Pets and animals, okay. Recent news, maybe something that happened in your business recently. Something that's going to continue to add credibility and value to reasons why people should join your group. An office address, where your office is, and also, your email. That's up to you. If you want people to have this, by all means put it in. But if you don't want people to have this at this point, then leave it out. You don't have to have it in. And then you just go ahead and click create group, and then you're all set. Your group is created, and you can move on to the next video, which is going to be how to promote your group. Growing your group. Now that you have your group, it's time to hopefully get it to grow. So how can we go ahead and do that? Well, you want to make your group interesting. This is so much a key part of things. If your group is boring and you don't give people a good reason to come in, those that do come in, they're gonna fall asleep, not be interested in hanging around, interacting with you, and helping your group move forward. So make sure that you make it interesting. This includes you becoming involved and also offering real value to your group. Something that I found when I start things like this, it's similar to starting a forum. You have to get the ball rolling yourself sometimes. You might need to call a few favors into some of your friends to get them to come in and help you, hype things up. Maybe ask them to post a couple questions in the group so you can start conversing with them. Once people see that there's interaction going on, they're going to feel more comfortable joining in and joining the fun. Offer a reason
This webinar will continue after this commercial break.
Your unlimited traffic campaign, it's the most efficient traffic producer online today. In fact, the daily traffic that is buying from our website makes your service #1 with us. And I would highly recommend that everyone with a business online should have an unlimited traffic campaign. It's simply the best way to ensure that people are buying from you every single day.
What are fan pages? We talked now extensively about groups, but now it's time to take a look more so at fan pages. So looking at dogs, continue with that popular theme. Let's just filter this by fan pages. Anybody can make a fan page. There are certain stipulations. For example, if you were to make a fan page for a popular music artist, you need to have that person's permission to do so. But obviously anybody can make a fan page on dogs. So you can see here a fan page. First of all, we looked at the different groups about dogs, and you know what? They were a heck of a lot smaller than this. This dog fan page has almost 1 million people in it. This one here, almost 300,000. That's incredible. So there's a lot of people that get into this fan stuff. So of course, what do these fan pages look like? Well, keep in mind that they are accessible, from the internet as well. But basically, a fan page is more similar to an actual Facebook page. We talked about groups, and a group is more like a forum or a message board, whereas a fan page is more like your traditional Facebook page, with a few differences, of course. But a fan page has a wall that this fan page has chosen not to utilize. So you know what? That's not the best example, is it? I want to show you. Something with a bit more in it. It's giving me trouble going back here. Okay, let's just start over the search. I apologize for the trouble there. Okay, filtered by fans. Okay, dogs and puppies. Maybe this will be a bit more fun, huh? So here on the wall, you can see that people, are posting. So keep in mind that when you post to this wall, it's visible to all your fans. So that means that this person that maintains this wall here, that maintains this fan page, they make one post, and then they are instantaneously reaching out and appearing in the news feed of close to 300,000 people. That is amazing. That is just simply amazing. Of course, on the wall, other people can post as well, which is pretty cool. Now, please note, if I were to post on here now, it would not appear to everybody's news feed. Just the owner of this fan page, of course. But still, people that come onto here, that will see it. So, this is a page that gets a lot of exposure. Of course, on this fan page, you also have info, and this person, has links for more information about dogs. Obviously, you can be gearing it towards information about your product or whatever. You can see that there are some discussions going on here. A place for photos, also a place for video. A video can also help to add credibility. Perhaps you have videos that you've done. By all means, put them up. And also see that there are reviews. You can put, why not put testimonials if you have them for your business. So you can see here there are a lot of unique aspects of the fan page. But of course, the biggest thing is just being able to interact with people on such a grand scale. Also, a fan page does get its own URL, which anybody can access, which is also really, really helpful. And you can see this handy-dandy box here that anybody that's a Facebook person immediately recognizes. Become a fan, and we'll talk briefly in a bit about how to actually put that on your own website, which is really cool as well. Creating a fan page. And remember, I had talked before about the groups and fan pages, and I do believe that you want to have both of these for your business, but start by making a fan page first. So how do you go about and do that? Well, you go to this URL here. It's it's facebook.com/pages/create.php, and that brings up this page here that you can access. And of course, create a new Facebook page. First, you need to decide, what it is. If you own a local business, you go ahead and do that. Or If it's a brand, product, or organization, of course you can select that, and then the breakdown continues there. Or artist, band, or public figure. Of course, if you're doing this for a sports team or a comedian, any of those types of things. So let's go ahead. I guess my dog training thing. Let me think a bit here. I've never done one before. I guess a website thing, might be the best match. Yeah, I think I want to go ahead and do it for my website. Okay, and then of course the name of my website. So then that would go here. Whatever the site is that I'm promoting. Maybe it's dog training tips for you. Of course, this is made up, but just go with me here, folks. Then we need to add this here. Show that we're not a robot. Okay, I'm authorized to create this page. This is really important because essentially, they don't want, Madonna doesn't want somebody else creating a Madonna page saying they are Madonna. There's a lot of legal issues there. So you need to, of course, enter your information here and swear that you have the, the right to be doing this, of course. I'm going to go ahead and pause and do that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and created my fan page. Again, the ability to set up your fan page before you start inviting people and promoting it. You want to take some time to set things up. Obviously get a nice looking picture in here. Have some posts on your wall. Just go through here and look for the information that you can put in and think about how best you can represent yourself here. Again, keep in mind the whole, what is your goal in doing this? Of course, is your goal to sell something right on Facebook? Is your goal to get people to give you their email address and then you can promote to them, later? Is your goal just to get them to your website? Think about what your goal is and then, of course, gear your efforts towards that. And also keep in mind that this is a Facebook thing, not a website thing. So you want to adhere to the general Facebook rules and keep in mind what people coming here are going to be looking for, which means that they're not looking for a faceless person. They're looking for more information about you to feel more comfortable with you, and of course hoping that they're going to set up shop and start sharing stuff. So that's how you go ahead and create a fan page. We'll talk next about how to promote one. Building your fan page. Okay, just a few tips on how to get your fan page to grow once you've created it. Make your fan page interesting and fun. This is incredibly important. I know that sometimes we can get caught up in things, especially if you have a business mindset on, monetizing and just trying to have a good pitch for your sale. However, you got to keep in mind that a majority of the people that are on Facebook are there just to have fun, to interact and learn new things and explore and all that good stuff. Help to make the internet, more of an interactive place rather than just a place of information. So keep that in mind, because if you're not gearing your page towards that, you're going to find that you're turning some people off. Offer a reason for people to join. You see oftentimes a lot of businesses doing things like, become a fan on Facebook and receive a special coupon discount, blah blah blah, things like that. You can have things that people only have access to, once they become a fan. Then of course, you deal that out. So, mention those types of things to them. You think you'll find there's a big difference between, oh, hey, you know what, I think they look cool, maybe I'll become a fan. And then, of course, if you become a fan, I will give you this, or this is why you should become a fan, because I, do this to people that are fans. And, of course, it's appealing, and then you're going to get people on the fence to, come on over to your side and join. Encourage members to invite friends. Don't be shy, don't be bashful. Just come right out and say, hey, listen, go tell your friends about such. And keep in mind, the fan page lends itself well to being able to promote yourself. You can post to your friends' walls, and then everybody, all their friends see it as well, which is really powerful also, and it helps to spread things out. Find similar groups, friends, fan pages, and promote to those members. And we talked about this as we've been moving forward, but it's all about finding people, in their same market, and then, of course, approaching them and showing them, you have some great stuff. Advertise your fan page on your web page. We're going to talk about this shortly, but essentially what this means is if you have other outlets that you have traffic from the internet, tell them about your fan page, because trust me, you want this thing to grow as fast as possible. And any way that you can get traffic, you got to take it. It's one of those things where you got to hit the pavement, so to say, when you first start out, because it's going to take more time to get those initial members and to cultivate those members to bring in more members. But once you get it going, boy, it can really take off. So Use every avenue that you can, including obviously advertising your fan page on your web page. Facebook networking tips. As you move forward, obviously Facebook is built on a principle of social networking, interacting with others. I just wanted to talk about a few basic tips as you begin to interact with others. You want to keep things natural. Nobody hates anything more than, becoming a friend to someone only to find out that they're 100% here to sell things. Now, believe me, I've set up profiles, and that's been my goal, 100% to sell something and make money, and I'm not doing this for fun. Of course, I have my own personal Facebook thing, and that's more of a fun thing, but you have to keep in mind that you have to be careful with these types of things, and you want to keep things natural, which means that you want to deliver value up front, and then, behind that, have some sort of upsell, meaning that you don't want to, just get a friend and then immediately be posting to them, hey, listen, buy my whatever. You want to show them that, this is a social thing, you care about, people that are your friends or that are on your fan page or group, and just keep things more natural. Try to be personal in your interactions, meaning that if you're going to take things on a one-on-one basis, maybe you have the time to do this, maybe you don't, and that's fine too, but let's say, for example, that, you start conversing with some of the people that are your friends, go on there and learn more about them, and then when you send a message, mention things that show that you took the time to read their profiles and are interested in, talking about, with them on more than a just, hey, buy this type of level. Put yourself out there. Don't appear shady or mysterious. If you're one of those people that's not going to fill in, the more of your information on your profile, people, they don't like that because they're already putting themselves out there, and it makes you more of a faceless company just promoting a product, whereas you want to be the exact opposite. Be consistent with your efforts. Once you get this ball rolling, of course it's going to take a life of its own, but you also need to be in there constantly, moving this forward. The goal here is that you're going to see that this really works, so hopefully you will be, able to continue to dedicate the time. But if you're up there and you're sharing things and all of a sudden that stops, that is going to hurt your business, so please keep that in mind. Promoting Facebook on your website. Now it's time to talk about how we can utilize platforms that you may already have in place, such as a website and also other places on the net that you can advertise your Facebook information. Adding Facebook to your website and general web pages is actually not that hard. Let's go ahead and show you. If you go to this URL here, Facebook widgets, you'll see that there. I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. Facebook has already made it easy for us to go ahead and add things to our page, often called a profile page or even a photo badge. You can also create fan boxes, a live stream, meaning that you can show posts and updates if you want, and in fact there's multiple options here. Let's just start, going to show you a fan box, which is pretty simple. Let's go ahead and click on that. Okay, then you go ahead and select whatever page it is on Facebook, and then of course you can include the stream if you want, and also include the number of fans, which I'm going to encourage you to do, because let's say, for example, you go to somebody's page that is already on Facebook and they have, they have a fan page. It adds credibility if they have a huge number of fans that are already following them. So that's essentially what we want to do. Let me go ahead and show you an example of this in action, actually. Here is a nice example of a fan box. You can see here this is actually on the person's website, pulled right in from Facebook, and it not only includes the box obviously to become a fan of the page, but also the most latest posts and also how many fans there are. This can be very appealing because if you have a couple hundred fans, people will see that, and it helps add credibility to your respectfulness as on your website. Of course, whether or not you show these things is totally up to you. You can select whether or not to have those or not. You could just have it be the simple little box if you like. So next you choose where to add it. Of course, if you have a blog or blog, they make it even easier for that. Or let's say that it's our own website. Let's go ahead and click Advanced Options and see what that is. Okay, it gives you some more information basically on how to add it to your page. It really isn't that hard. It's basically just go ahead and cutting and pasting. If you're familiar with HTML, you'll select Other here and just copy that below and paste it right onto your website. If you need some help, I'm sure you can ask around in some forums, and it's a very simple thing to do. So that is how you go ahead and add your things to Facebook. Of course, if it's your your profile page or a live stream, you know that it's going to be a little bit different, but it's basically the same thing. So I certainly encourage you to do that because it gains extra exposure, and you want to get as much as you can. That's what it's all about. Using applications on Facebook. This is more of an advanced feature that we had not talked about, and I certainly wanted to mention it before I set you free here. Applications can be a very powerful way to interact with other people and also to gain a fan base. Let me go ahead and show you some examples by going to my Facebook account here. From your profile, just under the search box, you can go ahead and just do a regular search like you normally would. You can just search for dog, and we can filter the results by applications. You can see here these are things that people have made, and of course hopefully they've used it in a viral sense to gain traffic to their perhaps their website or their Facebook page or whatever. Here's one called Cute Dog Gifts. Let's go ahead and check that out. Applications can do a lot of different things. Okay, look at that. One of my friends is even using it, so it must be pretty popular. Okay, you can see reviews of what other people have said about the application. Not so good, this person said here. Okay, the application itself has a wall too, so that's interesting. Okay, so how do we go about then and use this application? What exactly does it do? Well, I'll show you. It depends, of course, on the application. It's a script, piece of software within Facebook. It allows you to send creating your own applications on Facebook. Okay, I started to talk in the last video about how you can go ahead and create your own applications from the ground up by hiring a coder, which of course can be pricey and time consuming, but there's also a way that you can go ahead and create your own application using some preset tools. Let me show you here. Make your own gift app. It's something that you can do. Okay, this is actually an application in of itself. but it allows you to make other GIFs. So it's not quite as complicated as making your own application from the ground up. A lot of it's already done for you. Let's say, for example, that I wanted to create that when I wanted to give away, let's see, Internet Marketing Awards. Okay. Of course, this isn't the best sell for dog lovers, right? But that's okay. This is just an example. Okay. So let's go ahead then and see I can make GIFs then. Let's say that I wanted to give an award for SEO. And then I could go out and find a picture of SEO and then upload it here. And then that would appear in my GIFs, and then that would allow me to give this GIF to other people. So what happens then is, that your GIFs can get passed around the net. It helps set you apart. I don't know anybody else that's given creating a Facebook plan of action. Okay, we've talked about a lot here in this series, and I didn't want to leave you without giving you a more concise way to go about this. So let's go ahead and review what we've talked about in the forms of a master plan from start to finish. Okay, the first thing you need to do, of course, is set up your user account, and that would also include a fan page and a group for your business or your personality or whatever it is. Now, we talked about how you might want to wait to set up a group, but I would suggest from the very beginning having your own fan page. And from that, then you have a good base to start working. You want to go ahead and optimize your pages. Make sure that they are a good reflection for what you're trying to sell or what your end goal is. If your end goal is to build a list, make sure that your page reflects that and draws people towards that action. Of course, you want to make sure that your pages are exciting and they draw people in and they appeal and are a good match to the crowd that you're targeting. Next, you want to seek out friends. You can go ahead and use my advice to find targeted friends to your niche, which would include going to similar groups, similar fan pages, and then starting to interact with those types of people. Encourage friends to invite others. Once you start to get your own fan base, you want to do what you can to motivate your members to start inviting their friends. You can do this by rewarding people, by bringing friends in, or just a simple action of please help me spread the word. You'd be surprised how often that can work to help build people just by asking others to go out and bring somebody in to join the fun. You want to maintain constant interaction and make things exciting. This is incredibly important, especially in the beginning, because the more steam you can get early on, the quicker it's going to build. So keep that in mind. If you create a page and don't interact with anybody, people are going to be less inclined to try to interact with you, and that's it's an important part. This is social networking, not stay behind a curtain and don't ever come out. So that's not going to work on social networking. Promote outside of Facebook. We talked about ways to promote Facebook outside of here, things such as your website, your blogs. It's very easy to integrate Facebook. In fact, they provide you tools so you can do that. Finally, once you have a formula that works, you want to rinse and repeat. Why not have 2 different Facebook accounts and 2 different niches? You certainly can do that. And of course, if it's difficult for you to maintain one, hire somebody else to help you out with that once you start to see, more of a return on your efforts. So that's basically, the master plan. I encourage you to go through things again and just think about how this all fits in your business, and more importantly, get out there and do it. I wanted to thank you for viewing this video series. I really hope that you'll get out there and start using these tools, because Facebook is an incredible way to get traffic and to
This webinar will continue after this commercial break.
There are still times when I think I'm dreaming. Believe it or not, but for the past 1 year, I was literally running a dead online business. I hadn't received a single visitor for over a year and my account was dry. I found you guys on YouTube and I haven't looked back since then. It's unbelievable, and honestly speaking, there are still times when I think I'm dreaming. You guys have turned my life around. And in turn, I promise to keep my campaign going forever. I'll be your loyal customer for as long as I live. I will forever be indebted to having unlimited traffic on my marketing campaign.